Picture this. A woman sits across from a colleague who has just questioned her whole career move. "You really think this was smart?" he asks, almost smiling as he says it. For a second, the room waits. Everyone expects her to justify herself, to list her reasons, to defend the decision until he nods along. Instead, she just looks at him, calm, unbothered, and says nothing at all. She picks up her coffee and walks back to her desk. And somehow, that silence lands harder than any argument ever could. Why is that? Why does silence unsettle people more than words do? And why do so many of us spend our best years trying to convince people who never intended to understand us in the first place? Think about how much of your life has gone into explaining yourself. Explaining why you left. Why you stayed. Why you changed. Why you stopped replying to messages that drained you. We treat our own lives like a trial we're constantly defending, as if somewhere out there sits a jury deciding whether we're allowed to live the way we choose. Here's a truth that quietly changes everything once you actually absorb it: the more you chase understanding from people who've already made up their minds, the further you drift from understanding yourself. So today, let's walk through 10 honest truths about confidence, boundaries, and the strange power of simply not explaining yourself. By the end, you'll start noticing every argument, every raised eyebrow, every backhanded comment, in a completely different light. The first truth is this: your life was never meant to be a courtroom. Imagine carrying a heavy folder everywhere you go, stuffed with evidence, just in case someone questions you. Proof you're working hard. Proof you're not selfish. Proof your choices make sense. You open it every time someone raises an eyebrow, flipping through pages, trying to win a case nobody actually asked you to defend. Exhausting, isn't it? And yet millions of people live exactly like this, forever presenting evidence for a verdict that was never really theirs to give. Real character isn't built by convincing people. It's built by living in line with what you actually value. Some people don't want clarity when they question you, they want control, and every explanation you offer becomes one more crack they can push their fingers into. So ask yourself, the next time you feel that pull to explain, am I doing this because it's necessary, or because I'm afraid they won't approve? That one question alone can change how you move through the world. The second truth: silence makes restless people uncomfortable. Have you noticed that the moment you stop reacting, some people get louder? That's because they were counting on your reaction to feel important. Think of a lake. If the water is calm, a stone dropped into it barely leaves a ripple. But if the water is already churning, that same stone sets off chaos. Your mind works the same way. No one can disturb your peace without your permission, and once you actually believe that, you stop needing the perfect comeback, because you realize no comeback was ever necessary. But here's where it gets uncomfortable. What if constantly explaining yourself isn't just tiring you out? What if it's quietly costing you the respect of the very people you're trying to win over? Stay with me, because the next truth exposes something almost everyone gets wrong. Third, stop explaining, start becoming. Picture someone planting a young tree in their backyard. A neighbor leans over the fence and laughs, "That thing's never going to grow." Does the gardener dig it up every morning to prove the roots are there? Of course not. She waters it, and she waits. Yet in our own lives, we do the opposite constantly. We announce plans before we've lived them. We defend a future we haven't even built yet. Real transformation happens quietly, underground, long before anyone sees the leaves. Your actions carry weight that words simply can't match. People can doubt your discipline today, but 6 months of consistency will answer questions you never even had to speak out loud. Fourth, approval might be the most expensive addiction there is. Imagine walking around holding a cup, and every opinion someone hands you either fills it or drains it. You're doing great, fills it. You've really changed, empties it. I expected more from you, empties it further still. Before long, your happiness belongs to everyone except you. Here's the irony nobody tells you: the more desperately you chase approval, the less people actually respect you for it. Confidence doesn't ask, "Do you like this?" Confidence says, "I've thought this through, and I'm willing to live with what comes next." That's what real freedom sounds like. There's an old story about a woodworker who spent 2 years building a single chair, carving every joint by hand. When he finally revealed it, some people admired the craftsmanship, others mocked the strange, unconventional shape of the legs. For weeks, he lost sleep wanting them to understand his reasoning. Then an older craftsman told him something simple: if you spend your life explaining your work, you'll never have time to build the next piece. He stopped defending it. He just kept building. Years later, the same people who'd laughed were the ones asking him to build furniture for their homes. His words never changed their minds. His consistency did. Fifth, you cannot control the story other people tell about you. Every person who meets you builds a version of you inside their own head. To one person you're inspiring, to another you're intimidating, to someone you've never even spoken to, you're just a rumor passed along secondhand. So which version are you supposed to spend your life defending? None of them, because none of them were ever really yours to control. Peace begins the moment you separate what belongs to you, your character, your effort, your integrity, from what belongs to everyone else, their assumptions, their gossip, their projections. Once you understand that, an enormous weight lifts off your shoulders. You stop correcting every rumor. You stop trying to edit somebody else's imagination. Because no matter how clearly you explain yourself, someone determined to misread you always will, and that's okay. Your job was never to manage their story. Your job is to keep writing your own. But stopping the explaining doesn't mean people stop testing you. Some will push your boundaries harder. Some will provoke you just to see if you'll break character. So how do the people who've truly built inner steadiness handle that, without turning cold, without losing themselves? Let's get into it. Picture standing beside an old stone bridge during a violent storm. The wind howls, the river beneath swells and crashes against the pillars. The bridge doesn't argue with the current. It doesn't brace itself in fear. It simply stands, exactly as it was built to stand, and the storm eventually passes beneath it. That's the kind of strength worth building, not the strength to win every argument, but the strength to remain steady while the argument happens around you. Sixth, boundaries don't need a long explanation. One of the hardest words to say out loud isn't ambition, it isn't discipline, it's a plain 2-letter word: no. Saying it feels uncomfortable, so people dress it up. I'm so sorry, I'm just really swamped right now, maybe another time. Hoping that enough softness will prevent disappointment. But here's what actually happens: the more you explain, the more people negotiate. They hunt for loopholes in your reasoning. A boundary doesn't get stronger the longer you explain it. It gets stronger the moment it's respected, by you first. Every time you say yes to keep everyone else comfortable, you may quietly be saying no to your own peace. Seventh, emotional control might be the highest form of power there is. Ever notice how some people seem determined to provoke a reaction out of you? They interrupt, they mock, they push, not because they're chasing truth, but because they're chasing control. And here's the secret nobody explains clearly enough: whoever controls your emotions, controls you. Think of life like a stage. You don't choose every scene, and you don't choose every actor who walks into it, but you always choose how you perform your part. Someone throws an insult your way. Most people's heartbeat spikes instantly, their voice sharpens, their emotions take the wheel. But a steady person pauses, not because they have nothing to say, but because they refuse to hand someone else the remote control to their mood. That pause is where real strength quietly lives. There's a story about a street vendor who was mocked loudly by an angry customer in front of a crowded market. Everyone expected a scene. Instead, the vendor smiled gently and kept arranging his stall. A young apprentice later asked him, "Why didn't you argue back?" The vendor said, "If someone offers you a gift and you refuse to take it, who does it belong to?" "The person still holding it," the apprentice answered. "Exactly," the vendor said. Anger works the same way. Not every insult deserves a response. Sometimes the loudest answer is simply your calm. 8. Let time become your greatest ally. Think of a seed buried under soil. One day passes, nothing visible happens. 1 week passes, still nothing on the surface. But underground, roots are already spreading where nobody can see them. Your life works the same way. When you start changing, don't expect instant recognition. People remember who you used to be, not who you're quietly becoming. Some will laugh. Some will question you. The easy move is to defend yourself. The steadier move is to keep growing. Eventually reality speaks louder than any explanation ever could. Stop rushing to prove yourself. Let your future do the introducing. 9th, protect your energy like it's your greatest wealth. Imagine starting each day with exactly 10 tokens, not money, attention. Every pointless argument spends 1. Every attempt to convince someone who's already decided not to listen spends another. By evening, most people have spent every single token, and almost none of it went toward their own life. Attention is one of the most valuable resources you'll ever hold, because wherever your attention goes, your life quietly follows. Ask yourself honestly, how many nights have you lost replaying an argument that changed nothing? Now imagine investing that same energy into building something, learning something, or simply enjoying the people who actually deserve your presence. Protect it. Not everyone has earned access to your mind. And now, the truth that ties everything else together. 10th, let your life become your explanation. Picture 2 lanterns hanging in a dark hallway. The first one keeps flickering wildly, as if trying to shout, "Look how bright I am, believe me, trust me." The second lantern says nothing. It simply burns, steady and quiet. Which one actually lights the hallway? The second one, because real light never has to argue for its own existence, it just shines. That's the pattern worth building your life around, not opinions, but principles. Ask yourself honestly, how much energy have you poured into explaining yourself to people who'd already closed their minds? How many dreams got delayed because you wanted permission that was never anyone else's to give? Here's a truth worth sitting with. The people who genuinely matter to you rarely need constant explanations, and the people who demand endless ones usually wouldn't be satisfied anyway. Your job was never to manage everyone's opinion of you. Your job is to manage your own character. When your values are clear, your decisions become clear. When your decisions are clear, your confidence becomes something nobody can quietly chip away at. And once your confidence is unshakable, you stop explaining, because your life has already started speaking louder than your words ever could. There's an old image worth carrying with you. Somewhere on a quiet coastline stands an aging stone bridge, weathered by decades of storms, floods, and passing seasons. It has never once chased the river to prove it belongs there. It never begged travelers to notice it. It simply stands where it was built to stand, and because of that steadiness, people keep crossing it safely, year after year, without ever needing to be convinced it will hold. Let your life be that kind of steady. Don't spend your days chasing people who've already decided not to understand you. Don't wear yourself out trying to prove your worth to a room that was never going to clap. Stand in your values. Keep your word, even when it's inconvenient. Stay kind, even when it's difficult. Stay humble, even when things finally go your way. Over time, your consistency becomes your reputation, and your character becomes the only explanation you'll ever need to give. So the next time someone questions your choices, pause. Take a slow breath. And remember this, you don't have to win every argument. You don't have to answer every criticism. Your peace matters more than proving a point, and your character will always outlast whatever misunderstanding tried to shrink it. If any part of this found its way to you today, drop the words, quiet confidence, in the comments, not just as a phrase, but as something you're choosing for yourself. And if this kind of reflection speaks to you, stick around, subscribe, and let's keep exploring what it really means to build a life you don't have to keep explaining.